everyone, my name is Deborah Dominic and I welcome you to another episode of Debbie Inspires. In today's video, I am going to be sharing with you a very interesting topic titled Assumption versus Reality. Now, before we get right into the video, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, now will be a good time for you to click on the subscribe button to be part of this amazing family. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you for always being here. I appreciate your support. Now, before we proceed, I'd like to give a simple definition of the word assumption. What is assumption? Assumption simply means believing that something is true without having all the facts or proof. It is simply the act of filling the blanks with our imaginations or our emotions without necessarily finding out what is really true. Now, here is the thing. Assumption always feels easier than communication. And that is why it is easier for you to say, she ignored me or he ignored me, without necessarily wondering whether the person is going through something. Yes, it is easier for you to say, she is giving me an attitude without necessarily finding out if she is going through something. This is the point where reality and assumption part ways, giving room for misunderstanding to grow. Now, let me tell you a quick story. During my first year in the university, the second semester, I had a carryover. Yes, I had a carryover. And to be honest, it was something very disappointing to me, but I buckled up that I was going to try my best to see that I passed that course with an A. So the following year, I was in 200 level, and second semester, I am supposed to write or carry over the course that I failed during my 100 level second semester. And coincidentally, it happens that I have another exams on that same day. That's the current, or do I say, that's the level I am at that time. That's the 200 level. So it was a 100 level course and a 200 level course. So something happened. The 100 level course was a morning paper, and the second one is supposed to be, I think, more like an afternoon paper because it started around 11 p.m. So while I was there in the exams hall, the exams were supposed to start at 8 a.m. So when we went to the exams hall, somehow the papers didn't really arrive on time. It was like 30 minutes or even almost an hour late before we started the exams. So I was scared that it was going to affect my second paper, but I was determined to give it my best. So here's what happened. That day, I went into the exams hall, wrote my paper. As soon as the exams ended, I proceeded to the next hall for my 200 level paper that day. So somehow, when I get into the exams hall, I realized that everybody was already seated for exams. Wow, I was confused because I was almost 30 minutes late. But I and other classmates that had carryover that wrote that exams had to, we went into the exams hall and we explained to the exam officer, and he quickly gave us answer booklet and the question paper to go and write our exams. Now that hall was 500 capacity seaters, so the hall was quite full. So when I went in, I just proceeded to write in my exams with my name, started answering the questions. 1 hour after I started my exams, I heard a noise in the front of the hall. So raising my head, guess who I saw? I saw my friend. Yeah, she came in like 1 hour, 30 minutes after the exams has started. So I became confused. I was wondering, How is it? Could it be that she forgot the time? What could have happened? So I was watching how the lecturers were asking her why she had to come to the exams hall late. So inside my mind, I was just praying that they allow her write these exams. But unfortunately, they didn't allow her into the exams hall. So I knew I had to put myself together and write the exams, except I want to get another carryover. I didn't want to get another carryover, so I decided to at least put myself together a little to be able to write something. 30 minutes after that event, 30 minutes after that she came in, my second friend came in too. Wow, that was when I was wondering what could have made them come by this time. So after the exams, I managed to write what I could write. That exam was supposed to be a very easy exam, but because my friends came very late and they were not allowed to write the exams, I felt so devastated. Like I felt so disappointed, and there was nothing I could do. But after the exam, something happened. People around who knew us to be working together began asking questions. But how is it possible that I was able to get into the exams hall and write my exams without noticing whether my friends are inside the exams hall? And honestly speaking, when I came in, I was rushing, and everybody was seated in the hall. And like I said, it was a 500 capacity hall that you can't just use your eyes and look through and then see everybody. And most of the times, we don't always sit on the same spot during exams. Everybody has to sit differently. I felt so bad because people continue to say I must be a very bad friend for not being able to call my friends before the exam started. And honestly, that day, I didn't notice their absence because that place was. And I was just thinking at that point, I was even the more like, I think more like the second to the last person that came in before they came. So that's it. And okay, I was just wondering, how do I even tell my friends what? How do I try to console them? But I tried. I decided I was going to just try my best. So I met them, like they were actually crying. Okay, they were crying. I hope if they're watching this video, they would remember. So I saw them. They were actually crying, and I was trying to console them, but I was just trying to explain myself because on that day I didn't even come with a phone. Even if I eventually come with a phone, there was no way I was going to really notice their absence. Yes. So after that event, they continued to go to the department to probably ask if the lecturer could actually set another exams for them or just help them. They were just trying their luck. And honestly, that was them not giving up because my friends, my clique are very, like, we are very, very serious minded people when it comes to our education. Everybody knows us. We know how to read. We love to actually work hard, and you could tell anybody who takes their studies serious, that would be a really disappointing event for them, and it will not be easy for them to just take it like that. It happens that somehow people continue to talk to my friends and telling them how that I was careless about them, how that I didn't call them before the exam started, because how is it that the three of us work together and only me get to write exams and the rest? Even though they confirmed that they weren't certain of the time, they were thinking that exams were supposed to be by 2 p.m. in the afternoon, but unfortunately it was 11 a.m. So that was just it. So within that period, it was a tough one for me relating with my friends because people kept telling them things, and somehow I noticed as if that thing was beginning to get in their heads, and somehow with time I began to notice some kind of isolation and all. Do you know that I cried. In short, it was like it would have been better if the three of us missed the exams, because what I went through a lot then. Okay, and I loved my friends so much, but I had to accept the fact. All I did was I explained myself to them, and it's left for them if they want to understand me or not. They were passing. I was like, I'm still waiting for them. So they were surprised as to how I could wait for that long to actually sort things out. I spoke to them, telling them how it happened and how that I didn't even know, realize that they weren't in the exams hall and the rest. And somehow they felt sorry, and we both apologized to each other. The following year, they passed. Okay, so what am I trying to say concerning this? Now, sometimes you, before jumping into conclusions about things, make sure you find out the real truth. Honestly speaking, people who were around could actually be right by asking, like, where was I? Since my friends, at least I'm supposed to notice their absence. But nobody wants to understand that, okay, people were already seated in the exam hall. There's no way I could just use my eyes to spot them at that point. And how about the anxiety of writing two papers, writing a carryover course, and then coming to almost immediately, no time for revision? So that was just what happened to me at that point. So how about my friends? My friends too begin to let what people were saying to actually get into them somehow, and then begin to give me attitude, not necessarily knowing why it happens or seeking the truth or even confronting me to actually tell me why, and then I'll at least get to explain myself. So please, what I'm trying to say is that please give people some benefit of doubt. Okay, even once you're assuming something in your head, please seek clarity. Now, time for reflection. How many times have you strained or even ruined a relationship simply because of what you thought they meant? How many opportunities have you missed simply because you assume that you are not qualified? How many times have you felt unloved, unappreciated, or unnoticed simply because of an assumption? Now, here is the truth. Most misunderstandings did not come from lack of love, they come from lack of clarity. So before you assume, please ask questions, and before you react, make sure you seek understanding. And before jumping into conclusion, always remember that reality looks different when you take a closer look. Those things you're just assuming are not even true. Okay? So stop assuming. Few reasons why you should stop assuming. The first reason that I put down is assumptions create stories that may never be true. Always remember that reality is always kinder than the stories that we tell ourselves. The second point that I put down is assumption damage relationships. Yes, most marriages, friendships, and lots more have been ruined simply because of an assumption. The third point, which I think is one of the most important points, is people deserve the benefit of doubt. Always have that at the back of your mind, because everyone you see around, right, is going through something. Yeah, we all have our plans, we have our aspirations, we have our visions. Yes, we have so many things that might be going through our minds. So before you think that that attitude, that silence, or that delay is about you, why not try to make some excuses for the person by saying, maybe, just maybe, he or she might be going through something, especially people who are not used to giving that kind of attitude. So don't just conclude, because I've seen people whom maybe because maybe you are just not in the right mood at that point, okay, and then they will not even want to ask you what's wrong with you. They will just conclude it has to be something, and then before you know it, a very beautiful relationship would just be ruined. Please don't do that. Okay, don't do that. And always remember that clarity comes with understanding, and understanding brings about growth. So finally, I urge you to choose communication over assumption and choose understanding over conclusion, because that simple act can save a relationship. It can heal a heart and would always help to keep you at peace. So that's pretty much what I have for you for today. If you've watched to this point, please remember to give this video a thumbs up. That means a lot to me, and I thank you very much for watching to this point, especially if you've learned one or two. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in my next video.